Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Softball Edition, and my guest for this week's show is none other than freshman outfielder on the softball team, Keeley Hernandez. Keeley, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. It seems like you have a flair for the dramatic here when it comes to hitting home runs. 2 of your 3 long balls this year have been go-ahead or game-winning home runs in the 6th inning or later of games. How do you go through an at-bat in the clutch?
Well, I think that in situations like that, it's best not to put any extra pressure on yourself. And so something that an old coach told me and something I always tell myself is don't make the game bigger than it is. So just going in there, picking a good pitch, and putting a good swing on it.
Do you go up there expecting to hit a home run, or are you just trying to turn it around to the next person?
Just trying to turn it around. Just turn the game around, honestly, I think, in that situation, because it's late in the game, especially when we're down or something like that. Just try and get momentum for the team.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, you're the hero of the game.
Yeah.
It's worked out pretty good for you so far this year.
Yeah.
You had a successful high school career at Redwood High, and you managed to be a standout in the classroom as well. How do you manage being so good at both?
I think it's kind of funny because I always noticed that in high school I was better at, I did better in school during softball season, and I think it's because I don't really have time for a lot of other things. I really don't have a lot of distractions, have my head in the right place, just worrying about school and softball, and that's pretty much it.
I think you're like the only person I've ever heard say that they do better in school during
I just
their
noticed
season.
that in high school. I mean, so far this semester it's been going well, but I mean, we'll see compared to last semester how it goes. But in high school, that's how it was. It was weird.
Now, how has the travel been on you, trying to adjust to maybe some longer road trips than you're used to?
I would say the only time that I really struggled was when the time changes. So I can adjust to my schedule well, but the Biola tournament, when that got switched on us last minute and it was earlier than expected, that was a little rough. But other than that, it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah. Has there been pressure on you to perform in a big spot since you're a freshman and one of many freshmen having to perform right away for this team?
Yeah, I think when you come into a new team like this, you want to prove yourself, and you want to prove yourself to your coaches, prove to your teammates that you belong here. And once you do that, okay, how can I keep going with this? But I have definitely felt the pressure at times.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the team now. This is the first Menlo softball team to win 10 games ever. No one else has done that. What does that mean to you ladies?
It makes us very proud. But it kind of puts a new goal for us. Okay, how long can we keep this going now? I think that it's good for us.
Yeah, and now with the 10-game winning streak, these updated softball coaches poll rankings came out today, and you guys are receiving votes in the polls. It's the second time in program history that Menlo softball has been in the top 30, so to speak, but not in the top 25. So are you guys looking to maybe push that up a few spots and crack the top 25 for the first time?
I mean, that'd be great. It's something that we would all love, but just see how GSAC goes and just trying to finish the rest of the season strong.
Of course. And speaking of GSAC play, you guys had a doubleheader sweep against number 23 Hope International. It was huge to put you guys in second place in the conference standings. Does the team care necessarily where you guys are at?
Yeah, we think about it and we care, but I think what's most important to us is going into GSAC confident with some wins under our belt.
What was the approach to that Hope International series? Because they were one of the hottest teams in the conference entering that series. Up until that series, they were riding a 15-game winning streak.
Yeah, I think we were still holding a little bit of a grudge from last time, and for me, I don't really know what it is about that team, but it really gets me amped up to play against them and that pitcher, and they're a very good hitting team, so I think it was just kind of a challenge for us that we wanted to rise to.
And very clearly you get amped up against them considering you have a walk-off home run against Hope International this season. That was, I didn't know if you know this, but that was the loss that then put them on track for a 15-game winning streak. They won 15 straight after you knocked them off, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they were probably pretty upset.
One of the big keys for this team lately has been the offense. It's been driving in runs, and it's something that Brooke Menacini highlighted a few weeks ago as one of the things to work on, and ever since you guys have won 10 straight. How have you been able to adjust your guys' approach with runners on base?
We always say something in the dugout, and I think Kenny might have mentioned it in her interview. It's we always tell each other pass the bat, And I think that pretty much sums up our adjustments. You just think you go in there and you get your job done and you give the person after you a chance to do the exact same thing for your team.
Sarah Reyes is literally doing it all right now for Menlo.
Yeah.
She is hitting bombs, she's driving in runs, she's pitching complete games. What has her impact been for the team?
Sarah's confidence is just pretty amazing overall. She keeps such a cool head, especially at the plate, and I think that her biggest impact has been that she's just so versatile and she does what needs to be done wherever she is.
And of course, it's a good thing that she's coming on strong at this time of the year,
Yeah.
at the end of the year,
Yes.
helping give you guys a boost down the stretch. The schedule lightens up over the final 3 weekends with just 3 doubleheaders left over the final 3 weeks. Will that rest be beneficial for the team? Because you guys have had a busy schedule so far with a lot of crazy weekends.
Yeah, I think it's much needed. We went really hard in March, and I think that besides Easter, I don't see there being much of a rest, knowing our coach. It'll probably be a lot more practices and a lot more team preparation activities, so we'll just see how that goes, but I do think that it's something that we need.
And it becomes a fine line to balance because you're used to playing a lot of games, not as many practices. So you guys still have to stay sharp, of course, now that you're not having as many games. So yeah, I think you're right. Kristen will probably keep you guys out on the field busy with practices.
A lot of live practices too, live pitching.
The best way for you guys to stay game ready, of course. William Jessup is on tap this weekend, assuming that it just doesn't dump buckets on Saturday like it's supposed to. They're tied for you guys for second place in the conference standings right now. How do you go about facing a scrappy team like the Warriors?
A team like that, I think the best way to go about it is just not to hold anything back. Scrappy teams, they capitalize on almost anything. So if our offense keeps driving in runs and our defense, we just have clean D the whole weekend, both 2 games, then we should be fine.
And of course, they have one of the best pitchers in the conference in Shelby Grafman, who I'm sure you, having seen her in the last series, she's no easy at bat.
Yeah, no, but I think we can. I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, we'll be all right.
Absolutely. All right, Keeley, let's transition into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 off-the-wall questions. Give me your best answer.
Okay.
Question number 1. Since the team was in SoCal last weekend, which teammate is the worst at surfing?
I'm going to be 1,000% honest. We did not see the ocean. That would have been nice, though. But if I had to guess, I would definitely say Gina. She's just so clumsy. I could not see that going well.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right with that. I don't know why, but when I wrote this question, I'm thinking, who would she give an answer for? And the first person that popped into my mind was Regina.
Yes.
Doesn't surprise me at all. Question number 2. Which teammate is the best at heckling?
This is a close tie between Lauren Harrison and Ariana Velarde, and I say that because when I got this question, I asked them what heckling was because I had no idea, and I got an earful about that. So
they heckled you about not knowing what heckling was. So if you're going to put them in a tie, what would a tiebreaker category be to see which one's better at heckling?
Put them against each other.
Oh. We might have to do this at some point. Like at the end of one of practices or something, or right before the playoffs, just get them no holds barred. Just have them go back and forth on each other. That might actually be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Question number 3. You can pick any 2 teammates to join you on Jeopardy. Which 2 are you picking and why?
I'm going to go with J-Mad for sure. Just the smarts, I'm going to definitely need that. And Shiggy, because I could see her she gets overly competitive in everything that we do, and I can see her, isn't there a button? Hitting the button really, really fast. Yep. Yes.
You got to press the buzzer quick.
Yeah.
Although I've never seen a Jeopardy player who is extremely competitive, so that might actually get in the heads of the opposition, and then you guys might have an edge.
Yeah.
I think that's a strategic choice.
Yeah, no, definitely Shiggy.
Keeley, thanks so much for joining me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And fans, don't forget, Menlo College softball, they're at home this weekend on Saturday, weather permitting, and since we play on a turf field, I have a feeling we're going to play somehow, some way. It's a doubleheader, 12 o'clock on Saturday, April 8th, against William Jessup University. Both games will be streamed live on the Menlo College Sports Network, and yes, it's a big one for the playoffs upcoming. Both teams tied for second place in the standings right now. We invite you to tune into next week's show. Keeley Hernandez will be selecting the next interviewee on Unrooted Softball Edition. I'm Brian Brownfield. Thanks so much for tuning into the show, and we'll see you next week.